it is reasonably typical in project financing to have the nominal value of the security to be somewhat higher than the actual loan to allow the supplemental advancement new debt if that were necessary.
We agree it is reasonable to provide for some supplemental contingency, 5 or 10% possibly. We could see maybe 20%, but not 88% above what you claim to have borrowed.
For, say, new debt injected if there were cost overruns, or we had to work out the project construction if the bidder failed. To cover the cost of interest accrual or roll-up in the event of any difficulties during the project and the funders being required to step in and work out the project. In respect of point A above, the Turks and Caicos Island government have the control under the project agreement to approve new debt under the facilities and new finance documents where this would increase the liability of the government unless the new additional debt would be equal to or less than 10% of the original commitments. C, additional permitted borrowing of the project agreement. And therefore the government remain able to control what the maximum payment obligation can be in respect of the bank loan exposures.
This is the first time again that we have learned that the government has control over the project agreement to approve new debt. But we thought, according to everything that the government has told the people till this point, we thought InterHealth Canada was borrowing the money, not the government. And if government is controlling the payments and the drawdown in additional funds, we should ask, are we comfortable having the government borrow up to $235 million without coming to Parliament to seek approval for such borrowing? We will reread this point so that it is very clear to persons, because we believe that, in due respect to the Honorable Robinson and his trying to read this statement here, he says a couple of key points in this statement that we think needs further emphasis. It says, in respect of point A above, the Turks and Caicos Islands government have the control under the project agreement to approve new debt under the facilities and new finance documents where this would increase the liabilities of the government, unless the new / or additional debt would be equal to or less than 10% of the original commitments, which they do not say what the original commitments were. But it says, see additional permitted borrowings of the project agreement, and therefore the government remain able to control what their maximum payment obligations can be in respect of the bank loan exposures. And so what we would like to do now is show to the people of the Turks and Caicos Islands the commitment of the original commitments. And you'll see that this is the entire document. It is 72 pages or so from the land registry. And in this document, it was resolved that the mezzanine lenders and the junior lenders, together with the subordinated lenders, subscribe and pay for a sum of up to a maximum of US $61,660,000 United States dollars, mezzanine secured loan stock, and US $51,660,000 infraco loan stock to be issued by the company and that as security for the mezzanine loan stock and the borrower loan stock. These two amounts are the original commitments, which was approved on December 19th. And those two amounts total $113,660,000 $160,000. So the question is, if the original commitment is $113 million or so, which one of the three events that would include a difference for going over the original commitments, and we know they've gone over the original commitments because they have now agreed that the total amount raised is $123,620,000. So they've gone over 113 by a little over $10 million. So which one of these three events have occurred to force the government to go beyond the additional, the original commitments? And the purpose for the charge of $235 million is so that the government can go and have additional sums. Now, we would ask people to ask themselves, if the government has already, within a very short period of time, advanced over $10 million from the original commitments of $113 million, then how should we be sure that they are not going to go further and advance beyond the current $124 million that they say they have gotten so far? So they have already started drawing down on additional monies according to the contract.
It is also relevant to distinguish between what the government is ultimately liable to pay on a termination, which is dependent on the termination scenario, and a total debt secured by the security. As funders, we want to ensure that whatever our initial or later senior exposure is, it is covered by our initial security filings. What the government is required to pay may be different or less. However, the bank needs the ability to have a secured claim against project assets so that we can pursue those, and there is a shortfall in debt on termination. To that end, the size of the nominal security charge is just ensuring that all our exposure will be secured. I hope that from the above, it is clear that while the charge in place over the project assets of approximately $235 million, there is currently only financing in place for a sum of $124 million, and the difference has not been advanced or utilized. The difference is represented by the various points outlined above. I trust the foregoing is of use to you, and I would be happy to assist in any further way that I can. Yours faithfully, Mark Young, Director of Corporate Finance. As far as the charge itself, of course, the charge was registered in the land registry, and the document says that the property to secure the payment and discharge of the secured obligation in the principal sum of $235 million with interest thereon and payable in accordance with the senior financing document, the mezzanine finance document, and the junior finance document, and subject to the terms and conditions as set forth in Schedule A. This document was signed for on behalf of TCIG.
Honorable Roy Robinson says that the document was